What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Lyfe podcast. Usually, we always have nail tech on here sharing their story about their success, how they became this wonderful nail tech. But we all know every nail tech face a decision making at this moment in their life when they work so hard, have all this money. Do they buy a house? How can they buy a house, or do they continue renting? And that's a big question that we need answer. So that's why I'm so fortunate today. I actually have a friend. His name's Nam Luong. He's part of the studio nail and beauty supply team. And he's been in real estate for quite a long time. Like most of his life, he's been in real estate. So let's have some time and let's dig some of his knowledge out and let's get to learn about some real estate to help all of us nail tech and anyone who wants to invest in a house have this knowledge of they can invest in a house with some of his knowledge. Thank you for being here today, Nam. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. Been excited ever since you invited me. Great to have you, educate the people out there in our community about different things that they can work on to improve, their financial futures, whatnot.
Well, thank you for being here because I always have questions when it comes to real estate. Even till today, I'm a homeowner, but I want to invest and I want to do more with real estate. But sometimes with the lack of knowledge, it makes you fear of making the right decision. Am I right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah. If you're a rookie coming into it, I would definitely advise you to work with somebody that's been through the loops. There's a lot of unforeseen circumstances, whether it be money related, if you're buying a property, structurally related, that as a rookie coming in, you're not gonna know what to look for and what ways to go about to save yourself some money. But if you're going with, whether it be a licensed professional or just a friend that has done this, buy, sell, flip, rent, that's definitely where you want to start. I mean, you can read so much online, you can do as much research as you want with all this AI stuff, but to get it from an individual that has credibility that you trust, it'll give you more confidence. And with real estate, you have to have a lot of patience and you have to have the confidence in yourself. It's not something that's going to bloom overnight. So yes, you definitely want to work with somebody that is familiar with the local area. Depending on what type of investments, if you go into, let's say, short-term rentals, there's different regulations for each county, each city, each state. It's a popular thing that people have been doing over the past, 5, 7 years, and especially here in South Florida. That's where I'm from.
That's amazing. Before we get into all this knowledge that you're about to drop for us, can you give us a little background how you started into this real estate industry and how you grow from there?
Um, as far as how I got into it, I pretty much grew up seeing my dad do this since I was as young as I can remember. He would be buying houses straight from the courthouse foreclosure. It would be destroyed, half of them, and he would go in there, be able to take it from being a 1 to being a 10. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of patience. But I've learned growing up watching my dad do it, helping him do it, and just, kind of being there every step of the way. It allowed me to get into real estate after I came out of college. And I kind of had the background already. Like I knew how it worked. I knew how it operated. Now it was just more learning laws and, filling out forms and, just more of the legal aspect of things. But it's something that, I didn't originally see myself doing, but it's something that I fell into. And now you look back and it's like 20 plus years. It's a blink of an eye. And I would say I would do it again. I love the industry. I love what I do. I deal with so many people, thousands of people over the years. And, the end result would be the same for the buyer, the seller, the landlord, the tenant, myself, is to close the deal, because in this business, it's pretty much commission based. If you're not closing, you're not eating, you
Right.
know? So it is stressful at times when you go months on end without seeing a paycheck, yet you find yourself working 60, 80 hours a week driving, wasting gas, putting mileage on your car,
For real.
spending money, taking clients out, and a lot of times people don't see the bad side of it, the downside of the business. Like
Correct.
a lot of times, I would say more times than none, that we would spend hours with clients and the deal doesn't close. I mean, if every deal closed, everybody would be a real estate agent.
Correct.
So you have to
Be a
be.
walk in the park.
It is, it's not as easy as it looks. People think we just open doors and, like we get a paycheck. No, I mean, there's a
Right.
lot of steps in between that we do. We work with the title company. We work with, the lenders, the inspectors, the, insurance companies. There's a lot of things along the way that the normal person doesn't see. I mean, it's not hard work, but it's something that somebody needs to have an eye on. And that's where, the real estate profession is still going to be needed. Although, you're finding less and less realtors because technology has taken over a lot of the things that, a lot of the services that we were able to provide. Like when I first started working back in early 2000, we would be running around collecting signatures, connecting initials, driving across town just for that. Fast forward 20 years, now it's e-sign. Like I'll be honest with you, the last two houses I've sold, I didn't even see the house.
Wow.
Because everybody just has their own thing, job to do to get the deal closed. As long as everybody does what they need to do, you'll get to the closing table.
Yeah.
So I mean, the industry has evolved a lot. The demand for realtors has gone down, but it's still, from an investment standpoint, it's great to have a realtor that will be able to find you properties that not necessarily is on the mainstream market.
Wow.
So it's a great business, and that's how I got in, was from my dad. Got out of college, I caught the boom in 2004, 5, 6, and 7. It was a great time to live in. Being a real estate agent, being a mortgage broker, anybody related in the real estate industry during those years, if you didn't save your money, you'd be well ahead. It was just a good time, easy to make money. And that's part of why we had that financial collapse in 2008, 9, and 10, was that, they were giving loans to everybody.
Right.
Everybody that had a social security number and a heartbeat was able to obtain a loan.
Wow.
So the market was tough, for a few years for me. I bridged into property management when the market was tough, 2008, 9, 10, and 11. We did a lot of homeowners association management. But once the market got back, I got back to full-time real estate. Management is great as far as the community management, but it's a lot of tedious work. And, I'd rather focus on property managing for private landlords versus associations, if you understand.
I do.
With the private landlords, it's, you deal with one landlord, one tenant, versus managing a whole community, just,
Yeah.
as a whole. And it's just a lot of
It's a
tedious
lot.
work.
It's a lot. You're dealing with a lot
Yeah.
of people, and people are just hard to deal with overall.
They are. People are very impatient. I think technology has consumed the best of us. People want everything right away. They think that they tap on their
That's right.
phone and the problem is solved. But you and I know, I mean, there's a lot behind the scenes that hasn't happened before you get results.
When you mentioned earlier about the crash in '08, in the year 2000, I know when you mentioned that, a lot of people don't really see or imagine how bad it was, because some of them are pretty young, or the one that are actually working right now, they're just young adult, and they didn't really face that. Can you elaborate on like how bad was the real estate market during the time? Like, is it bad to the point where like house were not selling, or people giving up their house, or there was just a lot of inventory that just not getting, people not buying it?
For the most part, it was people walking away. They couldn't afford what they signed up for.
Yeah.
And it was just too much inventory. There wasn't enough demand. So things got ugly, and it got ugly fast. A lot of the folks that I know who got in the game late meaning like 2006, 2007, they didn't get much equity, and then the market collapsed. So for them, they just walked away, and these folks put down, 10, 20% down on these homes. So yeah,
That's a
I
lot.
seen a lot of people. It's a lot of money, and that's just one house, and we're talking millions of houses across the country,
Correct.
but it was definitely a hard time for a lot of the folks that I knew. I mean, I had to short sell one of the properties.
Got
My personal experience when I first got out of college, it was too easy to get a loan. So I kid you not, within the first year of graduating, I signed up like 8 mortgages under my name. Like at the time, you buy what you can, and the minute you close tomorrow, it's going to be worth a few dollars more.
wow.
So everybody was doing it, but those late into the game got caught. That's just how it is. I mean, for me, fortunately, I kind of saw the signs coming when inventory started amounting.
Too much.
Items, homes stayed on the market for extended period of time. Before it was, on the market and it's gone. Now you're seeing 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and you're not getting any action. So I figured like, hey, I need to unload, and I was able to sell off everything I had that was financed, and
Wow.
I got stuck with one, and I was able to do a short sale, and I was able to recover from it. But some people, they fall through that foreclosure, and it was bad. Like you've had associations where they didn't pay the association dues, but they collected rent from a tenant that lived there, didn't pay the mortgage, didn't pay the association. Everybody's getting screwed every which direction. The only, even the landlord, yeah, they collect a few dollars, but they're still going to go down because of that mortgage that's foreclosing on them.
Wow.
Um,
With this situation, it actually like embedded in a lot of people's head, and it put fear into the future too of
yeah.
future investor, because there's a lot of people I talk to. They always have this thought like, oh, what happened if it crashed? What happened if this happens again? I mean, how do you reassure them that like this won't happen again, like to your clients or future customers?
I mean, I wish I had the answer to that. I wish we knew, but the market has proven itself, over the decades. You can't say over the months, over the years, you got to talk 10, 15, 20 years. If you look at history, it's always proven that real estate is a win. You talk
Correct.
to 9 out of 10 successful business people in the world, 9 of them are going to be linked to real estate one way or the other, whether they inherited it or whether they, self-made. Everybody that majority of the people that I know that are successful are tied into real estate, and it's something that
That's a living proof.
that's living proof,
Yeah.
and another example I can give you. So when the market back to when the market collapsed and then started to rebound in 2011, 12, I picked up a property, $28,000.
Wow.
At the time, nobody wanted it. It was $28,000, and I turned around, probably put 10, 15,000 into it. So I'm in it about 45,000 at the
That's
most.
not bad at all.
Rented out $1,500 a month, and it's been rented for me now the last what 14 years? Yeah,
Wow.
14 years.
You already
It's
made
sure
your
paid itself off. It's
pay
definitely
itself
paid
off.
itself off already. And today the market value for that property is 250,000.
There we go. I mean, you're
You know,
winning from the rent and you're winning from the equity.
from the equity. And I don't see myself selling it. But if I did, like look how much you made off a $45,000 investment. Yes, it took 10, 15 years, but
But
over
you win.
that 10, 15 years, I really didn't do much to be able to earn that 200,000 worth of equity plus the
Correct.
15 years of rental income.
Correct.
So it's a win-win. I mean, I'm so for it. Unfortunately, most of my eggs are in one basket, which is not good, but
But
I live and die by it.
you got to start
What?
somewhere. And you know what? With all this like positive stuff that you've been like talking about real estate, which is good. Thank you for like letting us know a little history about what had happened. Now, I know that the market during COVID, it was like the interest rate was so low. Everybody's buying house during that moment. And then all of a sudden, it spikes up really high. House went up really high. I mean, it's kind of putting a lot of people in a position where like it's kind of hard for them to even try to get out a loan because how expensive the housing market spiked, right, after COVID. I mean, what is the strategy for the people who are like, is it too late for them, or should they wait until it drop? I mean, what would advice you give them for that?
I couldn't say there's a perfect time, but with real estate, man, I don't care how smart you are. I don't care what degree you have. If your timing is off, you're not going to make it. Like you jump in at the right time, you'll get that equity. You jump in at the wrong time, you're going to be upside down on the property. Nobody has that magic, 8 ball
Right.
to know what's going to happen. But if you make enough, you're going to be residing in it. I would always advise to buy because when you buy, you're going to be there, 5, 7, 8 years.
It's
You
gonna
will
go
gain
back up.
equity. It's
Yeah.
going to go up. You might see a slight dip, but long term, it's going to go up. Investment wise, at this time, I mean, it's hard to squeeze 5, 8, 10% returns on a lot of the properties these days. Rent I've seen has starting to go down. I don't know about the rest of the country, but for South Florida where I'm at, we're starting to see a lot more inventory build up, so prices have softened, you know.
Nice. Because the more image
Um,
price has to shop because there's a lot of
yeah,
options for you there.
properties are still moving. Interest rate is moving in the right direction. I just closed a client last week, high fives interest. So I mean, we're getting a lot better than where we were a year ago.
Correct.
So I'm seeing there's still a lot of movement. I still have active buyers as much as
I feel like it's
we've
gonna
been
get better.
hearing. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely going to get better. Price wise, I pretty confident in my market. You're going to have other areas of the country, Austin, Vegas, where they developed a lot of new communities. Um, that may be an issue. I don't know about it, but I know in South Florida we're limited to our land here.
Got
From
you.
the beach to the Everglades, 10 mile stretch in Broward County maybe, and we can only build up now. We don't have land anymore, and people like this market. The market that I'm in, people come to vacation in.
They do.
So we have a lot of advantages between weather, no state income tax, just the year-round, the infrastructure. You've been here. You see Miami International Airport, Fort
Of
Lauderdale International Airport, the Port of Miami. Cruise lines will take you around the world from here. We've got world-class restaurants. We've got the largest shopping malls. I mean, the list continues. You want to go fishing, you want to go to Disney. Everything is just, a short drive away.
yeah.
So this market is great, but different parts of the country obviously will be different. The issue with Florida that I feel has been holding us back is taxes and property taxes and insurance. I mean, it's become a big thing. I mean, the appreciation of the properties has driven property taxes up a big number.
Yeah.
And then the other
Scaring.
side is, what was that?
Yeah, I say it's scaring people. The property tax, like
Yeah.
as it increase, is putting a lot of worries in people's pocket too.
Yeah. And then with the insurance,
Yeah.
year after year, you've seen the west
It,
coast of Florida's been hit with the hurricanes. And so they got to make up for that loss, and unfortunately, as a state, everybody's got to pay their part.
I mean,
So
every
people have
state
been
has its
deterred.
flaws. Every state has its flaws. Trust me. I'm in California. We have a lot to talk about too, but we're not even going to go down this
No, don't go
time.
there. We don't have enough time for
Yeah.
that.
I love Florida. I every time I go to Florida, beautiful state. But my favorite part is just meeting you guys as a friend and family, and you guys been such a great host every time I visit Florida.
Hey, it's
Um,
our pleasure.
I love it, man. You guys make me feel at home all the time. When we talk about real estate, the number one thing that I get from my clients and even from other nail tech, and we're gonna take it back to like real estate 101 here, because what we just talked about in the last 15 minutes was really about the ins and out about real estate and the benefits and what real estate is all about. But how do you get your credit up, man? That's just a simple question. Like, there's a lot of people just struggle with bringing the credits up, and they don't know how to work it, how to bring that number up to they can get a loan. How do they do it?
The biggest misconception is to borrow money, and that's, to me, you have to borrow money to establish the credit. People are reluctant on financing because They don't want to pay interest. But hey, I mean, if you're not going to do that, you won't have that trade line to start building your credit. I mean, the sooner you can get a credit card, utilize it. I mean, there's so many credit cards that offer no annual fee. You just need that trade line developed. Use the credit card through the month and pay it off at the end of the month. Like you don't have to owe them money. You don't have to pay them interest, but you need that activity being reported by the credit card company to the credit bureaus to show when you have established credit. So if you have a perfect credit score or a good credit score, let's say, and when I say good, let's say 680 plus, but if you don't have an established credit, like history of credit, some lenders will not be, giving you the best rates because you've got too new of credit.
Right.
So I always encourage people to, if you have young kids, get them a credit card. Obviously be in control of the limits that you give them, but let them utilize it, buy little things here and there, teach them to be able to save money to pay it off at the end of the month, and just continue to do that as you go. Buy a car, even if you have the cash to pay it off, finance it. It's going to cost you a little bit of interest, on that loan, but it'll get you,
Where you need to be.
building the credit to the direction you need to go. I mean, once you're in the 800s, man, I mean, the banks want you. They need you, so you're almost guaranteed anywhere you go, you'll get that financing. You'll get the best rates. You don't have to worry about getting ripped off. And to me, credit in America is everything. If you use it to your advantage, I mean, sky's the limit. You just got to know what you're doing, making sure that you can pay these loans back. Obviously, don't go head over heels and, just go wild because they're giving you money. But yeah, credit, people underestimate how important it is. You can not care about your credit, but everywhere you go, you're going to be forced to put a bigger deposit, or, you have to put whatever money up front to buy down the points because your credit wasn't so good. It means a lot, and I wish the community was educated about utilizing credit to your advantage rather than thinking that utilizing my credit is going to cost me money. It's going to save you money, and people don't realize that, I mean, a 6% versus an 8% loan is substantial when you're talking, over the course of 20, 30 years.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
So,
why people they're so afraid of credit, because first of all, they don't have the discipline. I always tell people to really use a credit card logistically, you kind of have to be disciplined, because there's so much benefit you can have to use a credit card. I mean, first of all, when you use cash, you get nothing out of it. You use a credit card, you get points. You can convert those points into valuable stuff. I mean, that's the one benefit. But like you mentioned, it keeps a track record of who you are as a person that borrows money. That's what it is. That's what a credit card really does, is it keeps a record. But people don't see it like that, because I get it. You face a problem where you were young and you got yourself in credit card debt and you can't get yourself out. I was there when I was in my 20s. I literally, when I was in my 20s, I had a credit card debt for only $2,000. And I thought that was the worst of my life, bro. I was like, oh my God, how can I get myself out of this? I'm going to die with this. But as you get older, you learn to manage your money better, and you learn to, how to function these credit cards. But there's a lot of people fall into this trap where one phase of their life using a credit card was so bad, they just eliminate credit cards the rest of their life. And they don't realize that when you eliminate credit card out of your life, you're eliminating so much potential that you can do with your credit score.
Correct. Yeah. It goes a long way, and it'll haunt you though for the rest of your life if you don't keep it together. I mean, I have people that have approached me can you co-sign for me? Blah blah blah. You can't do that stuff. As close as you are, as much as you know them, I personally wouldn't be able to put my credit on the line and co-sign for somebody. You just have to build your own.
Exactly. Because, back in the day, that was a hot thing. And, I want to just pause this real quick, because now that we're talking about credit, I want to talk about this subject before we move on to another thing is, in the
Okay.
nail industry, cash is king for a lot of nail tech.
Yes.
And I get it. It's that perception of people are telling, oh, we get the cash, we can take the money, give it to our family in Vietnam and other countries, etc. But the thing is that as they work so hard, you see these hardworking people working 6 days, 7 days, long hours, and they have no credit because they have this concept of just cash is king. Can
Yes.
you elaborate on that concept and how is it gonna harm them? And that trend is dying, bro. I see everyone is not, they don't find it beneficial no more.
No, it's taken time, but now I believe cash, if you're hanging on to it like literally cash, it's only depreciating. When you got a country that's printing money and you got inflation, I mean, you're holding on to this cash. Your $100 last year now is realistically with all the tariffs and all that stuff is 80 some bucks. I mean, if you had the cash in your bank where you would be able to go finance, put a down payment on a house or put your money into the stock market. I mean, over the last 4 years, you would have like threefolded your money if you put it in, into the right areas. But no, you decided to make cash and not do anything with it and just kind of sit on it. And now it's worth less than what it used to be. So I'm personally not a fan of that. I like everything, on paper. It's just easier when you go to buy stuff. You don't have to ask people to write you checks, and you don't have to find reasons to justify where this money came from.
Exactly.
But it's just hard for some to swallow the fact that, well, I get taxed on it with this and that. But believe it or not, now you're able to claim $25,000 tax free for tips. So hopefully that would lead our industry in the right direction,
Exactly.
to be able to start understanding why you should be claiming these things so that you have documented income to be able to get loans. Whether you buy it for your personal use or whether you buy it as an investment, you open up so many doors for yourself, by claiming your taxes correctly
Yeah.
and, having money where it needs to be. And, not just always being shy of paying Uncle Sam. Yeah, nobody wants to pay Uncle Sam, but if you work with the right financial advisors, the right accountant, the right lawyers, there's a lot of ways where as an independent nail tech, you can write off a lot of things, expenses. So you just gotta get yourself exposed to the right people. And that knowledge is valuable, and that's why you do what you do. You do an amazing job of connecting people, educating people, and throwing the reality out to the world. You've got a great number of followers. People
Thank you.
love the put stuff that you put out there, whether it be, dancing with your clients, all the way to, like the paperwork side with what we're discussing. This industry does, I don't want to say lack the knowledge, or they choose not to want to understand what they don't want to
And
understand,
that's the problem with our
Uh,
industry because we're so used to working the simple way.
yeah,
Everything is the simple, comfortable way. And we don't understand that the way that we've been going at it is not the right way. I mean,
no,
if you really look at realistically, the one that are owning the salon are owning more. The one that are working, you're continue to be a worker. And that's because you continue to take in that cash concept. You continue to lower that standard to know that, oh, because I have to pay tax. Like what Nam say, paying tax is not that bad, especially if you know the law. You know the
yes,
way to claim these tax. So get yourself a good accountant. Get yourself a good financial advisor. Get yourself a good lawyer to help you guys out to establish the right way to function in this American dream without worrying about watching behind your back. What do I say when they make these claims? It's stressful.
yeah. I mean, the system is set up, for people to pay taxes, but if you structure yourself correctly, there's a lot of things
Benefit.
that you can do to get some
Yeah.
deductions. Whether you buy real estate, which is a great example of what you can do once you have yourself established to invest in real estate. If you're buying it under your company, you're getting a lot of different write-offs for depreciation and all these expenses that you incur as a landlord. You can go a couple of years without having to pay income taxes
Yep.
off the income that you're getting on these properties. And if you're using like your money from the company before you take it home personally, you avoided paying that income tax,
Correct.
and you're using that money to buy into another
Pay your
property.
bills. Yep.
So for my, the way I see it is like you're saving 20-30%, by utilizing these funds to buy more real estate versus taking it home and paying income taxes on it.
Right.
So it's been my motivation to keep money in the companies and continue to build from there versus
Correct.
taking it home. Like a lot of
It,
people would take it home and then look into investing it. And there's different things you can learn with the right advisors and following the right people. And and nowadays, honestly, with Chat GPT and AI, like a lot of this information can be obtained by the average person. You just got to use it to your advantage.
Yep. When it
Yeah.
comes to real estate, man, I hear people are so afraid of long-term commitment. I mean, you hear that all the time. It's like, oh my God, it's 30 year, it's commit. I mean, and I always tell them like, well, you rather pay 30-year mortgage or you want to rent for the next 30 years. So what is your thought on that? Like, what do you tell people?
I am for buying 100%. I mean, I now in my third like real home that I've bought and lived, and I've been in and out every 6-7 years, and I tell you, each one of them I've
You
gained
make,
at least 50%.
wow.
And it's something that, to me, it's a proven strategy. You just got to have patience. But yes, it sounds long. And when you look at the number on the loan sheet of how much interest you're paying, you're just going to be like, whoa, like it's a big number, but split over 30 years, it's not bad, and time goes by fast. But if you're buying as an investment, it's definitely, something that all of us should look into,
Now, tell us, if we were out there looking for a home, should we go look for ourselves or should we go get a realtor? And if we do get a realtor, what should we look for a realtor? Like, what kind of realtor should we look for?
I mean, you can do a lot of the research yourself, honestly. It just comes to when you're negotiating contracts, going through inspections, what you can ask for, what the industry standards are. It is great to have a realtor. We put in a lot of years of local experience dealing with not necessarily appraisers, but inspectors and different vendors that repair the house, roofers, electrical contractors. If you know the right people, they'll be able to tie you in with these people so
Gotcha.
that you can get your house done quickly. Or like there's times where you'll have an electrical wire that's just hanging out of the wall. The seller's nowhere to be found. They're out of state or whatever. And, here you are, you can't get insurance because you got an electrical cord just hanging there.
Correct.
If you know the right people, just one quick phone call, they'll come cap it up, do what they have to do, and on you go. But if you're working by yourself, it's like now you're in a situation where you have a closing date and you can't get insurance because you don't know who to call to come out to do that little job, because some of these inspectors, they're I'm sorry, some of these electricians, they're not going to come out for one outlet. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to spend my gas to go out and fix one outlet and make $50 off you, because if I charge you $200, you'll be like, well, it's just an outlet. So most contractors will just not even do the job. And now here you are, you got a deadline, you need to get insurance. But if you work with the right realtor, they'll have those connections, like, call now and 2 hours later it's done. So yes, to me, it's very important to, if you're not experienced, if you don't have the contacts and the connections for, handymans, tile guys, different types of contractors, go with a realtor. I mean, we're here for you. We don't make money unless the house closes,
So
so
technically,
we're
you're
gonna
working for
clear.
free.
Yes, although the concept of paying a realtor, the original contract concept was the seller would pay for buyer and seller's agent.
Right. Is that has that changed?
Recently, that has changed.
Oh,
Now the sellers are just obligated, if they want, to pay their listing agent. They're not obligated to pay the buyer's agent.
wow.
Although the market is still, like the industry is still seeing that sellers are still cooperating and paying buyer's brokers. So at this moment, you can still work as a buyer. You can still work with a realtor more or less for free. You
Wow.
know, they can guide you as far as schools. They can, let you know whatever statistics you need to know about the area, the boundaries. So it's free knowledge. I mean, I don't see why one wouldn't use a realtor,
I
and when coming from a seller, you do need to work with a realtor. I would say work with a realtor because most people, they sell and buy real estate once or twice in their life, and if you screw up, you're talking thousands of dollars. It's not like it's a $50 issue, like this is hundreds, thousands of dollars, And so when you have a realtor working for you as a seller, it eliminates a lot of unknowns. They coordinate the showings for you. They deal with basically all the potential buyers, all the realtors of the potential buyers. Just coordinating the showing is a fiasco already. Like, if you're a full-time worker, then like, are you gonna come home and open the door for, a couple of people every other day? Like, you don't have time for that. I mean, even if you had time for that, do you really want to do that?
don't want to do that.
Yeah, so I mean, the knowledge and the work that a sellers would get from a realtor, it's definitely
It's
worth
a
it,
lot. It's definitely worth it.
it's a
Yeah.
lot. And, when it comes to contracts, so if you don't have a realtor working for you, when's the last time, Min, you read a real estate sales contract?
Never.
Yeah, exactly. 9 out of 10,
I'm
or,
just happy
99
signing
out
the
of 100 people.
I'm just happy signing the
What?
paper, knowing that I'm going to get the key to the house, and I'm good, and I can
Yeah,
do
it's
the
just,
rest
where do
later.
I sign? Where do I sign?
Right. Right.
So that's what, a realtor would be there to protect you, negotiate obviously on your best interest.
Yeah.
Um, it's still, to me, an important person to have,
I
in,
absolutely
in
agree.
your life, and
Absolutely.
it's an important decision that you pick the right realtor, there's there's a lot of realtors that I know that are fly by night, in it for them, and they don't care about the seller or the buyer. But they come and go from this industry, like every industry.
Yeah.
There's always going to be somebody that
The
comes
new
in
ones
and
stay
try to,
longer.
yeah, but if you can make it past your third year, you're a
Solid.
good person. People willing to work with you, and it's just the bad get weeded out.
Your
It's
name
just how it
hasn't
is.
been ruined.
Hasn't been ruined. I mean, reputation in real estate, you already know it goes a long way. And this day and age, with technology and the way people
Easy
can
to
give
know
you
your boss.
reviews and feedbacks, I mean, they'll blow you right out if you're not doing what you need to do when you need to do it.
Yep.
So reputation goes a long way, and I'm a firm believer of that. I mean, I grew up here in South Florida. I'm Florida born and raised. I mean, I'm still living in the county that I went to elementary school in.
Yeah, I can see the dolphin in
And
you.
no, we're not gonna go there, man. I handed my resignation letter to the Dolphin front office already.
Uh,
No, let's not go there. But yeah, the Florida Panthers.
you
I
know,
became a hockey fan overnight.
we learned so much from this podcast, just understanding about credit, understand about what real estate, the benefits. Can you explain to us a little bit about the BRRR?
Okay, so that is a great concept for those that don't know real estate. So BRRR, BRR, it's basically buy, renovate, rent, refinance. And if you can do that one a year for 10 years, I promise you, you're going to retire comfortably. You're not going to have to worry about working when you hit retirement. The sooner you start, the more you're going to have when you retire. It's a long-term thing, but you're leveraging other people's money, the banks. You'll put out the minimal down payment to buy the property. Um, you'll put 5%, 10%, depending on what you have, and it really depends now back on your income, your credit. If you have the good credit, you have the income that you claimed on taxes, minimal liabilities, like, normal car payment, but no outstanding, credit card bills. And, if your credit is good, your income is shown, you'll get a loan, you know, buy the property, fix it up, rent it out. It's not hard to do. You just have to have a plan, and you have to be able to, go through, execute, and don't get discouraged halfway through. There's no turning back once you sign, and that mortgage note's going to come to you the next month. So you got to get on, make sure you have a good handyman, make sure you got a good, electrician, plumber. All these little things need to be in place so that once you close, you're on it. You turn that property over in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Now you put it on the market for rent. Rent it out. Once you got that lease, once you have that deposit, you can go out and, look into refinancing the property. And, lenders, hard lenders or whatever, would be able to give you more equity out of it because you renovated it and now you've got a stream of income going into it. Lenders will lend you money or, give you a loan on that house now, to refinance, pull out some equity, go into the next property.
Wow.
You follow what I'm saying? I mean, I don't
That's
want to say it's straightforward, but it's straightforward.
Yeah, that's a badass strategy, bro. I mean, because from what you're saying, it's like once you get one going, the leveraging power just gets easier.
It does.
Because,
Once you have that renter in there, the
right?
income's flowing.
It flowing. And then next thing you know, you got credit from one mortgage. And the next year, you take out a loan because it's just crazy because I just look about your concept and it's like one house, once you get in one house, it just gets easier after another. And to do for 10 years, that's a lot of dedication. But you're right. You will retire so fast just doing that BRRR.
Yeah, it's not my strategy. It's something that,
Right.
I've learned, and it's something that's been going around.
That's
But
amazing.
plenty of successful guys that will vouch for it. I mean, it's not anything anybody can't do. The information's out there. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I mean, it's not rocket scientist, but if you believe in it, dedicate yourself to it. I mean, long term, it's happening.
Nam, I appreciate your knowledge, man. Before we go, can you give us one last advice that will
One
help
last
us?
advice.
Yeah, one last advice about how we can just have more confidence in investing in real estate.
As far as investing in real estate, I don't like to push people too much, but I'm the piece that can show you it happens, and it takes time. I didn't wake up yesterday and just get all involved in real estate. It's taken
Years
years,
making.
but yeah, it takes years in the making, but it happens. It appreciates. At the end of the day, man, everybody needs a roof under their head. Nobody wants to be thrown out. So even coming from an investor standpoint, yeah, you're gonna get some sour apples with the tenants that you put in over the years. Like, that's what scares a lot of people, and to me, that's where they go wrong. Like, you can't be afraid. Okay, take that back. Maybe in California the tenant laws are different, but in Florida, I mean, we can have them out within a month. If you file your papers right and they don't, contest it or whatever, you can get them out within a month. Not like California, where I'm hearing people are staying there months, 6 months, a year on end without paying anything. That's different. I mean, I would be skeptical to invest, in California, but for Florida, it's great. Being a landlord, I'm not really afraid of a tenant. Yeah, you'll get your stories that, they trashed the house and they broke this and, they trashed the yard. But you know what, man? All those things, a bucket of paint and a couple of trash bags and move on.
I love the
So
way
people
I
get
think.
scared. you can't let that scare you, like then if that scares you, you're not made for real estate though, and
Right.
that's where you have to kind of draw the line. Like, am I made to be a landlord? Because,
Right.
man, I've worked with a lot of landlords, that were forced to be landlords because they couldn't get out when the market collapsed, but they're not made to be landlords because every little thing
Stressed
stresses them.
out. Yep.
They would call me in the, like the wee hours and ask, did the tenant pay yet? Or, did the tenant do this yet? And it's like, okay, like when the market bounced back, I told them, hey, it's a great time to sell, and I got them out of it, So not everybody's made to be a landlord, but if you can swallow the bad that comes with the good, there's way more good, between the appreciation and, just the equity, that what you'll make, residual income, it outweighs all that, I mean, I've seen ugly, man. I've done enough over the years, dealing with the greatest people, like people that never worked a day in their life,
Yeah.
to, those that are on government housing,
Yeah.
like to them, I treat them all the same. They're all my friends, and that goes back to why I love what I do. I am able to help the smallest family, to the most elite people, in this world.
That's it.
I've got clients from all over, that come to South Florida. And that's what I like about our market is we cater to anybody and everybody. We don't have just like one specific demographic or whatever. Like we've got folks from, Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba. Oh, by the way, God bless to the folks out in Jamaica. I hope I haven't read the news, but I hope everybody is
Safe.
doing okay. I've got a lot of friends with family in Jamaica. Hope that, their families are all okay. But South Florida, we've got, folks from all these islands, South America, all these countries, a lot of Canadians, those from, I got Switzerland clients, I've got German clients. Everybody comes here and just wants a piece of real estate, it ties them into the country that, for the most part, the world can trust.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of folks that have money in South America, but they don't dare leave their money there. They find every which way to get that money here so they can buy something and hopefully their kids can come over and go to school and get away from their country over there. Like they have money, but their country is limited to what they can do with their money, and they don't want to be able, they're not able to spend it freely, like in America. In America, you got it, you can spend it, I mean, as long as it's documented. But
Yeah.
people come here for that, and South Florida, the market is great. We have such a large international market. By the way, just a fun fact. So Fort Lauderdale is the quote unquote yachting capital of the world. We've got, miles of marinas and, boat storages and, like
Wow.
the fishing here is unbelievable. You've seen
Yeah.
what
Love it.
we
It's
do over
great.
here.
I mean, I went on vacation with y'all. So now,
But
how can people in Florida reach out to you if they need your service?
I'm on Instagram, Vista Realty FL, Nam underscore SoFlo, and you can find me on Facebook. Google Vista Realty, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You'll find me on Google. Just many ways. I mean, I'm sure you
And
can put a
I'll
link.
go ahead and leave the description of your information in the description also on this
Yeah,
podcast. So if you
click
guys
below.
have, yeah, click below. So if you guys have any question, feel free to reach out to Nam. Like I say, he's a good friend of mine. He's one of the team members of the studio Nail and Beauty Supply in Florida. So Nam, thank you so much for taking the time to really share your knowledge in real estate, and hopefully this motivate everyone who's watching or listening to really, take some time, look into real estate and start investing and giving yourself that nice leveraging power.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to work forever. Like you got to
Yeah,
find a way to have
that's it.
that residual income. I don't know if you want to be living off Social Security. I don't know how much is going to be left by the time we retire, but I would like to see people get comfortable with having, real estate as a supplemental income these years while they're working, and then be able to have that as a residual income once they hit retirement. But thank you, Min. I mean, it's a pleasure being here, and I love what you do. You really put the reality out there for our people, for your industry. People talk so much about you, like you are that voice.
Say good stuff.
No, only good stuff, man. And that's that power that you're gonna be able to give people by giving them the reality of things. You can go on the internet and read all the, like the good stuff, but if you're not getting a reality check,
we get. Yep.
Yeah, you need that. Everybody needs that reality check, and to be able to have somebody credible in the industry, you've worked from the ground up in your industry.
Thank you.
And it's a great success story. And here we are coming from a third world, more or less, and being able to succeed in the land of opportunity. America's where it's at. You just got to utilize your credit. Don't take advantage of the system.
Yeah.
But if you use it right, it sky's the limit, man. Whether it be just the credit card points, all the way to the leveraging power of, real estate, commercial real estate. I mean,
amazing.
There's no ceiling, and I tell people over and over that this business is not like, any retail store where, you're going to hit a ceiling everywhere you go. No, real estate, there's no ceiling, man. You can get into the billions. I mean, you got companies out there, that acquire billions in real estate for their clients.
Absolutely.
So it's a great industry.
Went from a business to real estate, to be honest. Like a quick documentary like McDonald's, they claim themselves they're more into real estate than selling food.
100%.
That's what it is.
And it's crazy.
Right? That's what it is.
So, I mean, for me, I'm not there yet, but, the goal is to expand my companies,
correct,
into heavily acquiring just real estate.
Correct.
I mean, I'll let you know when I get there, man, but I'm not there yet.
Well, I'm right behind you, buddy, because wherever you go, just pull me along.
Right on. Come on
Thank
over.
you so much, ma'am. I appreciate you for your time and knowledge. I would love to have you back here on the next episode of the Thai Life podcast to share more about your next experience. How about that?
Hey, we can schedule it. I'm always open to see you, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Enjoyed this podcast, make sure to leave a like, a share, and comment right below. If you guys have any questions regarding real estate, reach out to Nam. I'll leave all his description down below. Thank you so much, Nam. I appreciate you and your love.
Thank you. Thank you, man. All right, man.